Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Great, thank you. Could I have a motion to open the public meeting of the May 21st, 2024 Village of Sag Harbor Zoning Board of Appeals?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have no minutes to approve yet, correct, Carrie?
Yes, I just received them from, Veritex this morning. They are wrong, so I'm going through it and editing them, and then we have to send them back to Veritex to get, fixed.
Great, thank you. So,
But we do have Barbara back today.
oh, great. Hello, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
So do we adjourn that or we just leave?
We're gonna
Okay,
Table that to the next.
okay. Could I have a motion to adjourn approving the minutes of the April 16th, 2024 meeting to the, what is it?
The next meeting record is June 18th.
To the June 18th meeting of the Sag Harbor Village Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have one correspondence requiring action, which is 37 Glover Street, requesting a one-year extension of their ZBA approval for their variances. Is there anything we should know about that particular?
Just submit a building permit application in for what was, through. but
Okay.
they just want to, for
Right. Okay.
Okay, I'll
Could
make
I
a
have
motion. I'll make a
to-
motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Now we're going to move on to old business. And the first item up is 41 Redwood Road and 27 Cove Road. And I believe this is being adjourned, correct?
Sure, they requested adjournment.
So could I have a motion to adjourn 41 Redwood Road and 26 Cove Road to the June 18th meeting?
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next on the agenda under old business is 126 Bay Street. Is there, great,
Good afternoon, everyone. Ms. Carlotto, 36 West Florida Street, City 202, Harbor. Okay. We did revise the plans. Thank you, Member Baker, for picking up the pyramid on the last go down, so we did renote the property. Again, this is a pre-existing non-conforming structure of 1,334 square feet, which is proposed to stand at 47, all within all of the setbacks. The only issue that we have is the sky plane issue. And the percentage of expansion, and we talked about the design and all of those things at the prior meeting. If the board has any question, the architect, who's also the all of us here to answer the questions.
great. So the new pyramid variance is for
The pyramid is 1278.
Okay. Do any members have any questions?
So what percentage of the expansion over 50%?
113.1%.
Excuse me?
113.1. So it is an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming house. We talked last time about why it was a non-conforming house, and it is just a hip on the roof that causes a clip on the pyramid, which causes the house to be non-conforming, or we wouldn't be subject to this 50%. It is a house that is within the historic district, but is not listed on the historic registry and has no historic characteristics. This is preservation in the village.
It was the small extension on the side, right, that was creating the I'm trying to remember, because we
It's a
don't,
small extension on the side that created the pyramid violation to begin with. So
Right,
it's
but
very
that's
small.
what-
I think it was about 4 cubic feet that created the non-conformity that caused 50%.
right, so it's just.
So Liz, maybe we can include that in if there is a favorable decision, we can include in it that the factor that made it non-conforming was so tiny as to be almost non-existent.
And also it's.
It seems that
It's not a
the,
contributing
Right, it's not a
structure in
contributing
the
structure.
right, but it doesn't have to be to kick off the,
No, it doesn't.
50%.
It's the pre-existing non-conformity.
it seems as though there are going to be more and more of those coming up. And I'd like to start to set a track record of how we distinguish, and many of them are double or triple the 50%. So how do we go about justifying the ones that we want to approve and turning down the ones that we don't, so that we don't just, or change the code and do away with that one or the other. But I would suggest in this that because what makes it non-conforming is so small, that that's how we can distinguish it. And also the previous house is not contributing historically. And the new design very much, in my opinion anyway, adds to the historic nature of Bay Street in a way that the previous house didn't. So I think that's another argument for the decision. That's all I have to say about that.
Completely agree. Like I said, it is a very minor pyramid exposure that causes this to begin with, and we did discuss even, just cutting that part of the roof off and not being subject to it at all. So I think the de minimis nature of the non-conformity that kicks this into 50% is one that we differentiated from any other lot in the village.
And just to confirm, the existing house was 1,334 square feet, correct? And the new house is 2,847.
Correct.
So it's not an enormous, it's not
Right.
turning it
No, I
into an
understand.
enormous house
Yeah.
anyway. No, but I mean, that's good to have in the record, because that's one reason
Right.
to allow it to go beyond the 50%, because some of these houses are so tiny that adding 100% to them doesn't even make them a big house.
Okay.
Um,
Let's see if there's anyone from the
yeah,
public.
is that anybody, Ham, do you have any?
No, I have nothing. I agree.
Val, do you have anything? else?
No, the enhancement, I feel outweighs, the variance request in terms of making it look more in keeping with Sag Harbor. Correct.
But I do think that Tom's statements are something that we have to deal with because, even though it's 113.4%, there may be other indications. So no matter what, we're going to be setting precedents.
Well,
To the extent that you can minimize
Nice.
that precedent.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
distinguishing it.
accentuating the idea that the only reason this is here is for a very small, the only reason
Right.
50% kicked in is for a very small pyramid law approach. And it's not as if we don't meet side yard setbacks.
Right.
If we meet all dimensional setbacks, it was just pyramid violation, et cetera.
Great. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak to 126 Bay Street? No? Damon, did you have any questions?
Well, no questions. I mean, the pyramid is a little over what we would normally approve, but I don't have any issue with it at all.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
No.
No. Tiffany, do you have anything else to add? Could I have a motion to close the public hearing on 126 Bay Street?
So move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. I'm fine with this, as long as we include in our decision about the small amount of nonconformity that kicks this in, and that in the end, it's still going to be a relatively modest house.
Correct.
Yes,
And we're all in agreement, Pam?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. Could I have a motion to instruct our attorney to write a favorable decision for 126 Bay Street?
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Great. Great, thank you. Next on the agenda is 63 Page, which I believe is also being adjourned. Could I have a motion to adjourn 63 Page to the June 18th?
So move.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is 20 Henry Street.
They have just requested an adjournment also.
Okay, I know they really just submitted a whole bunch of stuff, so great. Could I have a motion to adjourn 20 Henry Street to the June 18th meeting?
So move.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. So Carrie, is this everything that they sent? No, you haven't printed out yet what they sent
For what?
today.
20 Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't submit.
no.
anything.
So you're gonna print it out for the next,
They're gonna bring me.
oh, stuff.
Original.
Oh, okay, great, perfect.
Yeah. I'm going back to being pretty strict about it.
Yes, I think so, because it didn't come in until 3:30.
Are they moving the pool?
I
Well,
didn't
never
even
mind,
really
it's
look at it.
adjourned.
It's adjourned.
Adjourn.
All right, next on the agenda is 5 Washington Avenue. Hi, oh, you may proceed, sorry.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Denise Sharon. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Jeff Sharon, for Flat Washington. This is all through the audience tonight, if you have questions. If you may recall, at the last meeting, we appeared
Did we
before the
approve
board
this
with a
already?
request for a
Nothing?
front yard setback.
Well, we
variance
kind of
for
indicated that
a
we were in
swimming
favor.
pool
Of course.
and garage on a corner lot.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I'm having trouble hearing Denise.
Okay, no problem. In fact,
Thank you.
a front yard setback variance for a swimming pool and also a garage that is situated on a corner lot, and for a variance to allow those structures to exist in a front yard. At the last meeting, the board requested that we look into a few things. First and foremost, there was a question about whether the pool equipment met setbacks. We met with the building inspector and have relocated that pool equipment to be inside the garage and at a setback of 15 feet. And did request an opinion from Inspector Chin, so just to state that it's in a conforming location. But I'll submit that to the file. The board's aware. There made a variance for that.
Well, actually, that's something we're going to discuss. But you can continue and then we'll
Okay.
do it after your presentation.
The other issue was,
I have one.
yeah, there,
Thank you.
there was a neighbor that called in, and you haven't had a chance to even look at the plans, really didn't know, but we did have an opportunity. It's actually his mom at police property. And they're fine with the project and they gave us, a letter of support. So I'd like to hand that into the record.
Great, was he the person who spoke at the last? Yes, okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Powers, he said that, the only thing that I make sure was privacy screening, that is agreed to, remain, if we don't take it down. So.
Great,
There's a support. And then there was an issue with the
Thanks.
plans. The vegetation was shown in the right of way. So that's been relocated, so the vegetation is on the property, and then we can form the plan of discrepancy between the two.
great, thank you. So just so the board is aware, I spoke to Tim today about the pool equipment. And we have to make a decision about how we're going to proceed with that in terms of precedent because in the past, the pool equipment could be in a building, but it still had, the pool equipment itself had to be 15 feet from the property line. You can see, this is
12 and 10.
10. So, we don't know if the pool equipment itself is 15 feet. So if he was looking upon this just as a noise issue and that it didn't matter. But according to the code, it's a swimming pool and all appurtenant equipment has to be 15 feet from the property line. So we have to make a decision about how that should be interpreted, whether we stay with what we've been interpreting, we go with the new interpretation, or what we want to do here.
What would the new interpretation be?
That.
You mean
if
just for
it's in
this
a-
case?
No, because it's going to set a precedent, because we've had pool equipment in buildings
Right.
before, but the pool equipment has to be 15 feet. The building can be 10 feet, but the pool equipment has to be 15 feet.
I thought it was 15 feet.
Well, there's nothing that says that the pool equipment is 15 feet. If the pool equipment is 15 feet from the property line, it doesn't look like it is according to the plan, because if you look at. Sure.
Garage.
That says pool equipment inside garage,
Right.
15.6
6
feet.
feet.
This way. We're talking about this way,
I see, okay.
and there's something there, and that distance from there can't be 15 feet. If all of the pool equipment is 15 feet from the property line, we don't have a problem.
And the pool equipment is going to be in the garage.
In the garage.
Yes.
Well, I don't have a problem with establishing a precedent that if the garage meets the code setbacks, and if the pool equipment is inside the garage, then even though the pool equipment is supposed to be 15 feet, if it's inside the garage as opposed to outside, that it's okay, even if that establishes a precedent.
The pool equipment does not be 15 feet.
If it's inside the garage.
Right, inside a building, I don't know.
It's a
Yes.
So what is it then, if it's
We have to
inside?
establish now. Well, it would
What do
be
you
probably
think?
10 feet.
Well,
If it's a noise issue, then it doesn't matter since it's in the garage.
Right, but it's not what the
That's the point.
the code doesn't
doesn't
talk.
mention noise.
Right.
The code does not talk about noise, it talks about
Right.
dimension.
Right.
So the pool equipment has to be 15 feet. So,
inside the garage.
well, it doesn't say anything
If the
about.
pool equipment is inside the garage, then it's in my opinion that meets all of the needs that are implied
Right.
by the 15 feet that the code states.
Exactly.
And that would be our decision, and that would be okay to set that precedent
Right.
going forward.
I concur,
Just my
because as
opinion.
long as it's just within the 15 feet, inside or outside.
No. What Tim is saying, if it's in a building, it doesn't have to be 15 feet from the property line. What we've always done in the past is, no matter where it is, in a building surrounded by shrubs, surrounded by fences, surrounded by whatever it is, the pool equipment has to be 15 feet. This is a new interpretation, meaning the pool equipment doesn't have to meet any kind of setback as long as it's in a building that meets a setback.
Correct.
Or you could grant a variance for it.
Or we could grant a variance
The
for it.
variance is
Right.
granted because it's.
That's what I mean. That would justify the variance.
Right.
I mean, grant the variance, but justify it by the fact that it's inside the
15,
building. And then
Well,
that,
no, but that's different than reinterpreting the code. If we're giving them a variance for the pool equipment, we do that all the time. We're giving them a,
yeah, but to justify granting that variance is the fact that it's inside the garage.
Right.
yes, and we've
That's-
done
that's all
that
I'm saying.
before.
So
But,
keep
but
it simple. We don't have to reinterpret the code. We're just granting a variance.
It meets the 15 feet though.
That's
in this
what I'm saying.
application.
It's-
So I don't know if we need to.
well, not according to,
Could.
It's not placed, we don't see the equipment placed inside the garage. do we?
Right. They could scooch it over a few feet and it.
Either way.
All is 15 feet.
that would simplify things. Would they be able to do that?
Depends how wide the equipment is, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't know what.
They may not know exactly how wide the equipment is yet.
The other thing about reinterpreting this now is that we've enforced this with other people.
I don't think it's ever come up about
Yes.
inside the garage.
It has.
Okay, I don't
because
recall
I've
that.
had to comply with it under the previous building inspector.
So how
Didn't
did
you
you
get a
make it?
variance though
No.
from the zoning board? They
No,
wouldn't grant
no,
a
because
variance?
if you're 15 feet from the property line inside a building, it meets the
Yeah, but did
code.
you ever have one where it wasn't 15 feet, but it was inside a building?
No, because I've always made it 15
Okay,
feet.
well, I
inside the
don't see
building.
what the problem is if we grant this as a variance and the justification
Is
would be that
15
it's
feet.
inside a building. So
Yes,
if somebody
okay.
comes to us again and they also have it inside a building,
Well, we're granting
that's
a
a
variance.
precedent and we would say it's okay. It's granting a variance, yeah.
No, no, but that's different than changing the interpretation of the code.
I know, I'm saying let's not change the interpretation because this is a simpler way to solve this problem.
Okay. We can
And
do
if it
that
does
way.
establish a precedent, that's
No,
okay.
no, it's just a variance then. It's not. It's
Well,
not
but it establishes
reinterpreting
a
the code.
precedent for future people asking for variances.
See, I would have
But it's
difficulty.
okay if they've put the equipment in the garage and the garage meets the setback, even if the pool for it, the equipment, for instance, is inside a garage, but it's not 15 feet, but it's inside the garage.
But that still
I
would
don't have a
require a
problem.
variance.
Yeah, we grant
Yeah,
the
but
variance,
I-
and if
I-
somebody comes in a year from now with the same situation, and everything else were equal, we would grant that variance too.
Right, right. That's different
I mean,
than
the object-
reinterpreting the code. But
I
that's
know,
all I'm
that's
asking
fine,
about.
yeah.
No, I'm just asking about reinterpreting the code because this isn't a variance that they requested.
Well, yeah, I mean, in any legal thing, you're supposed to sort of judge it on the simplest, most direct grounds, and that's what this is, to just grant the variance.
Right, except that it hasn't been noticed for it. So let's ask the applicant what they would like to do. So I guess what the board is telling you is that the pool equipment has to be 15 feet from the property line regardless of whether it's in a building or not. However, we would grant you a variance for the pool equipment wherever it is within this building. But you haven't applied for that variance.
May I ask a question? If the garage was not in the variance and they had a pool inside the garage, which was 15 feet, would that be acceptable?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
if they can position the pool equipment inside the garage 15 feet from the property line, then it doesn't need a variance and it's.
I have
okay.
no
So
objection
if
to where the pool
Does
is.
the applicant know that if the equipment can fit inside the garage and be 15 feet from the property line?
I'm sure you could turn it 90 degrees and make it comply.
It's a small garage, so, but well, as a one side, I guess it just takes more out of it.
Okay, all right, well, so it sounds like the board is inclined to grant the variance,
I
but
am.
it has to be relisted. So can I suggest that we relist it, but let the applicant know that it's more or less a formality, and in the meantime, we can write a favorable decision so that when you come back next month, it will just be the formality of us voting on the decision, and you can go forward. Is that acceptable to the
That's
to the board?
acceptable for me.
Scott?
The only thing we don't have is a number,
So.
and Denise needs a number, right?
Yeah, you can let me know.
Yeah.
I can draft it and you can notice, you have to let me know before the
I'll
notice,
let you know.
the time to notice, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it could be renoticed and then I can draft this decision,
Okay.
for the next meeting.
I think that we did this very thing on a project
Yeah.
over off of Main Street back in there where there was a building that had a pool equipment in it, and what the building was 10 feet from the property line. I mean, we've done it before.
Another thing that struck me is on this decision, it's sort of unique that the property line is set back 15 feet from the street and the village owns that in the middle. That has hardly ever happened. So that's, if we put that in the decision, that's something that will distinguish this from most other properties in the village.
So who should let Tim know that we're throwing away his interpretation? You will.
Send him an email tomorrow and just saying that I failed to look.
No,
From the other direct.
No, he made an interpretation that you didn't need any variance for this pool equipment at all. Yeah. So he was saying that since it's in a building, it doesn't it doesn't matter, which is a different interpretation from the way it's been interpreted in the past, so. So Liz is gonna talk to him, so I think we're all set. any member of the public have anything um, just to add to 5 Washington Avenue, would like to speak?
Nobody's raised their hands.
Hey, do you guys have anything else to add after all of that? Okay, great. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing for 5 Washington Avenue?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need a motion to,
Hearing, I'm sorry.
Oh, we should not close the hearing.
Just did that vote.
Right. So could I have a motion to open the public hearing for 5 Washington Avenue?
I'll make a motion to open.
Second?
I'll second it.
Great.
Favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Could I have a motion to adjourn 5 Washington Avenue to the June 18th meeting?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Do we
And
need,
then could I have make a motion to direct our attorney to write a decision for 5 Washington Avenue to include a variance for the pool equipment to be located within the garage, whatever distance it will be, plus the other variances that are required.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is 203 Main Street.
Good evening, Anthony.
Great.
Bring you off, Steve, Main Street. So, here officially to adjourn as we're waiting for, planning board to please, but I would like to, if I can, just spend a couple minutes just updating you where we are with the application.
Sure.
Okay, so, myself, Denise and Monica, we met with Ken to just go over some of the, just to go over the variances, make sure everything is correct or not correct. And two important things. One is that number 7, the proposed gross floor area variance is actually not applicable to this project. It's actually, when I really looked at the code, and it's pretty clear that it only applies to single family dwellings in R20, which this is not. The other thing was that we concluded that we actually need 9 parking spaces, not 11. And we can actually, although we were originally proposing 8 parking spots, we figured out a way to do 9, so that variance will go away as well.
Okay.
We're also eliminating the basement entrance. There was a minor setback variance for that as well. The other thing I wanted to discuss is we did go before the Architectural Review Board as a discussion item. And I have to say, in the sort of 20 years or so that I've been doing this, going before the Sag Harbor Architectural Review Board, I've never seen a project more enthusiastically received than this one, not even 6 Union Street. Just to kind of give you a few comments that they made, Bethany Dairyman noted how, historically, there were always multi-use buildings in the R20 district, stores and retail and things of that nature. Michelle Arrington noted that she loves that this is going back to what it looked like originally, and it's not often that we see that sort of thing. And then finally, I'll just give you a quote from Judith Long, who I think has been is the longest serving member of the Architectural Review Board. She said, and I quote, "Tell the ZBA to give you all the variances you need." So that's where we are. Yeah, so hopefully in a month or 2, we'll be back before this board with fewer variances. The planning board determination and this enthusiastic reception from the enthusiastic endorsement from the architectural review board.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone in the public that wants to speak to 203 Madison? No. Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn 203 Madison Street to the June 18th meeting?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all approved,
Bye, thank you.
Thank
all in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay. Now on to new business. The first on the agenda is 49 Hamilton Street. Hi, are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Could you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Matt Ivins, 38 High Street, Saginaw.
Great, great, thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, I'm just gonna pass out some new photos to make it easier.
Yes.
Thank you. Oops.
Thank you.
So this is a 72-foot long timber retaining wall that was built in error within 6 feet of the northerly side of our property boundary. As you can tell, it's located right next to 6-foot tall front facing. The height of it ranges from 3.5 feet tall from grade on the outside on the westerly end to below 6 inches on the easterly end. You know, again, like I said, the contractor built it in error. The owner went to the former building inspector, Chris Talbot. Chris suggested coming to you guys rather than removing it or relocating it based on the fact that this thing is virtually invisible to the neighbor most impacted to the north. That's really about it. I'm here to answer any and all questions.
When did the wall go in?
As far as I can tell, about a year ago, he was
Okay.
going for CL. And I guess Chris did the inspection and he noticed it.
What was
So-
the purpose of the retaining wall?
Just to contain the fill within the backyard of the property.
It's because the pool
Yeah.
is elevated.
I just wanted to find
Yeah,
out what the.
yeah. It's just all about the pool.
So on the original application for the permit to put in the pool, there was no retaining wall at all?
Not that I know of, to be honest.
Okay.
There, yeah,
So that wasn't the case that there was a retaining wall, but it was in a different position or,
Yeah.
It just
with the
wasn't
fill,
there.
I think they decided instead of just trying to slope it down.
so the fill ended up being more than anticipated it when it was originally built? Okay. Thanks.
give any questions?
No, I think the intent of the 3-foot offset is as we excavate down, you also have to excavate outward and it can disrupt a neighboring fence or tree or hedge. This is the type of construction where it's non-invasive and would think that the 1 foot is fine. We actually approved,
Yeah, I think
I think, back in, yes, you're correct. There was an approval on 20 Washington Avenue back in September. Very similar request.
And it is like, it's literally right up against the fence. So I mean, it's.
Right.
The only thing we would want to do is somehow distinguish this from
Well, I think
other.
the runoff, it doesn't change the character of the backyard, so I have no objections to it.
I think the type of wall is important to note that it's a CCA wood retaining wall, which does no disturbance to the neighboring property.
No.
No, it's just that we just don't want to set a precedent for people
Right.
putting retaining walls around the
We
property
may not be
line.
able to avoid that.
Yeah. I mean, the code is there. This was a mistake.
Hmm. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak to 49 Hamilton Street? No? Okay, do you have anything else to add?
As you all have questions, that's about it, really.
Damon, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
I just say for a decision that we could distinguish it by the fact that it's not visible from
Yeah,
the street.
that's the
It's pretty de minimis in size. But you probably can't completely distinguish it. There's nothing about it that's that
That's unique.
unusual. It's as built.
Yeah,
The cost to take it out and reposition it, that's one of the things that we take into account. Seems excessive compared to the benefit to the neighbor or to anybody else.
And it's behind the fence.
So I don't have a problem.
In addition to that, this fence belongs to this neighbor. So, in effect, it's screening
The wall
retaining
from the-
wall,
from the neighbor, yeah.
and therefore the neighbor can't see this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that helps distinguish this from just a wall on its own.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, that sounds good. Great. So could I have a motion to close the public hearing for 49 Hampton Street?
So move.
Second,
I'll second. Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So could I have a motion to instruct our attorney to write a decision to approve the variances for 49 Hamilton Street?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tim. Okay. Next on the agenda is 57 Howard Street.
Steve or Petro, which one are you going to share? Would you like me to present?
I'm sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Are you going to share your screen?
No, you can share it. That's fine.
Will you be presenting?
Denise will be presenting.
Okay.
You see this pool setback?
Well, some, he
Just telling you.
he puts them on everything, yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Denise Sherman. I'm an attorney at the Adam Miller Group here tonight on behalf of the applicant, the Ravenel family. This application has been before the village boards for the last couple of years. We would, one of the things that the housekeeping issues that I just want to address first, but we're going into my presentation is that the notice in the agenda is incorrect as far as variances that we're seeking. There was an application that we brought before the ARB that was approved. And it turned out that it exceeded the 50% limit on expansion. So instead of coming here and force towards and in terms of that variance, the applicant went back and actually reduced his condition to below 50%. So I just want to hand out something that has the correct variances, so we're looking at the right numbers.
So did all the numbers go down?
So it's
And were there additional variances other than what was noticed?
no.
Okay, great, thank you.
And there's pictures here of the existing structure as well.
Great, thank you.
We were just before the ARB on this last month, and they liked it very much, so they approved it. They had approved the prior version as well, but as I said, it was determined that that one, that 50% would apply, and the applicant did not receive the variance for that board. So instead, we went back to the drawing board and decided to change his plans and reduce the size of his variance request and reduce the addition. So what you see before you in comparison is the original application and the application that sort of now, so that you can see how it's changed between the two. The existing house is approximately 1,600 square feet. This is a family who would like to relocate and live with the family and is having a hard time doing that in a 1,600-foot structure with family of 4. So they're seeking to add approximately 600 square feet to residence, 631 square feet actually, which is less than 50% limit on the expansion of non-conforming structures.
So what is the existing footprint?
1,200, let's see, 1,262.
Great. Thank you.
So the way they designed this expansion is they expanded the existing kitchen, which is on the back of the residence, so that it's shielded from view. This is a continuing regulated historic district, so that is of primary importance. We did have Zach come out to property, and he gives a great education on the details of it. We preserve. So the plans actually took that into consideration. What we're doing.
Just,
Are there?
can I interrupt you just 1 second? Are plans that we have the real plans? Because you said that it's changed.
Yeah. You have the update because it was in front of you and it was withdrawn, but these are the updated plans of 15.
I just want to make sure we were looking at the right thing.
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry.
Drawing.
The date on this drawing is 3/12/2024. Great, so, yep, proceed.
So the variances that we're seeking, the first one is a lot coverage variance, to allow lot coverage to exceed 25% by 1.1% or 75 square feet. I would make a note that this is actually a reduction from the existing property. So I'm not exactly sure if the variance is needed, but we figured better safe than sorry. So the grandfather coverage on the property is 29.1%, and it's going down to 26.1%. The second one is the building coverage variance of also 1.1%, which is 91 square feet. We'll allow building coverage 21.3%, where 20% is the maximum permitted. We do need a variance of that. Side yard setback variance, the proposed addition to be in line with the existing house. It'll be 7.1 feet from the side yard lot line. If you have a letter from the affected neighbor in support of the variance, which I'll submit. Same setback variance, but with respect to the existing AC unit, very close to the property line, will be moved back 7.1 feet, so that we need 7.9 feet, so we need a 2.1 foot variance for that.
What number are you on? 1, 2?
Number 4.
She's looking.
4, okay.
Here.
I see,
On
okay.
this list, not on that.
Number 5 is the pyramid variance.
Look over there.
So, sorry, just to go backwards to number 3, the only section of the house
She's going. down.
that is at that 7.1 foot setback is the small addition to the rear. It's not the whole addition. It's just part of the addition. Okay.
So most of this addition is this expansion on the first floor, expanding the kitchen.
And
But
that's,
there's also an addition, second floor, expand the existing.
Right.
The first floor expansion will have flat roof with sunken solar panels surrounded by a pollinator garden. So all you'll see from the street is this view. So this is the front of the house. And this is what was approved in the past. It was a two-story addition, still in the back, sort of, not as centered as the addition now.
when you say approved, that was-
I'm sorry, by the ARB only.
yeah, but it was, so
Well,
don't
huh?
say approved then.
Sorry. The previously proposed addition.
Right.
Was 2 stories. What we're doing now is 1 story, so you can't see it from the front, but you do see a little bit of the pollinator garden from Howard. There is a very tall shrub, I guess it's a hedge in front, so it'd be hard to see. But one of the main objectives here with the addition was this was Zach Griswold's house, so there's a beautiful garden at the back. They wanted to preserve that space. The other goal, as I said, was just a little bit more room so they can live here full time. And what they've done, instead of this 2-story proposed addition, which was not approved by this board, is instead put their square footage in the kitchen, expanding the master, and then have it in the basement for storage.
So the bedrooms are not being increased?
The master bedroom on the second floor.
I mean, the number of bedrooms?
No,
The same number of bedrooms.
same number of bedrooms.
Okay.
Also adding a dormer right here. And that's to give sufficient headroom in a shower. I'm 5'5" and I hit the ceiling of the shower, so it needs a little bit more room.
There was only parking for one small car here. Which I guess is
Grandfather almost?
possibly grandfathered. Which I assume that's why the building inspector didn't include that in the variances. There is a huge parking problem on this street. So there's also a 2-bedroom guest cottage in the back, which even aggravates the number of cars that might be there at any one time.
Liz,
I'd like to see the driveway. I don't know if we can call for that.
so that's a question is, because this is coming before us now, even though the bedroom count isn't changed, they don't have the proper number of parking spaces. Are we allowed to address that?
Well, you have to renotice that if you're gonna grant a variance for the number of parking.
Well, there wasn't,
It's not noticed.
it's not noticed.
It's not on the
meaning-
list of things for us to be going
Yeah,
over.
with a variance.
We just have to see, you'd have to show it on the plan that you could fit however many for the next meeting, or you need a variance.
Right, but do they need to, I guess, are they grandfathered for 1 space? They have 1 space to park a car and they need 3, correct?
Right.
There just won't be, I think there's no room.
What?
What do you mean?
What-
You mean raise the 2 extra spaces?
No, that's what I'm
Number of
asking. That's what we're
bedrooms.
asking.
You would.
Okay, I mean, it's not grandfathered, there's no grandfathering of the parking spaces that they have, meaning they,
They only have 1,
right, I know, but they're not grandfathered to only have 1 is the question.
like forever?
Forever, that's what I
How
mean.
big they make the house?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, so because the bedroom count isn't changing,
Unless the zoning, like usually your grandfather, if the zoning changes on you, right? And then
well, it probably has, because there's 3
so it's pre-existing.
non-conforming, right? Yes, that's what I'm
My
saying.
question was, why didn't the building inspector cite the parking as one of the variances that would be needed?
It wasn't cited, that's why we're asking. It should have been, okay, so, all right, so we need,
Or he should have determined if it was grandfathered and the alternative, he should have said that.
okay.
But I'm confused about the 50% thing. Even if it's under 50%, you still have to grant the variance.
Variance, correct.
It's just,
It's just that you're under
legally, it's
50%.
still- Yeah, it's up to 50%. you know, this board, technically speaking, some municipalities only grant up to 50%. But this board has decided, you know, to grant more than 50% because technically speaking, anything in the zoning code should be able to be varied by this board. But it still requires that percent, even if it was less than 50%, still requires that variance, which was noticed.
Okay.
And some, but what is the ultimate number for
It's
GFA?
the house, so the total GFA for the house will be,
Is it 1,188 square feet?
I just wanna be positive.
I have 1,893. What do you?
Pietro, you can answer that question.
What's the existing proposed and the permitted GFA on site for this lot? Cause I can't, I have it here, I think, but I can't really. I don't really understand.
Can you repeat that?
We'd like to know the GFA,
Okay, of the existing house?
of the existing proposed and what's permitted.
Existing proposal was permitted.
I think existing is 1,262 square feet.
That's right.
And then proposed is 1,188 square feet?
Well, if they're adding 631,
Oh.
Right, 1,893.
that's what I came up
Oh, is
with.
that,
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Pietro Rosado, 345 East 93rd Street, 23F, New York, New York.
Great,
What's
thank
the
you.
permitted GFA on the site?
I had 2,562.56.
Yes, I had the same.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
so, but the size of the addition is 631 square feet, Pietro, above grade?
That's
Because,
correct.
because the plans, what is this, A100?
It's just a chapter.
There's,
I just didn't understand.
understood.
Well, because there's a first floor proposal of 500 something and a second floor proposal of 650. So that's more than 631.
If you look,
That's why I'm getting confused, because that's what I cited when I put it in the notice for 2,450. That may have been the total permitted. I thought it was the total requested, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know what is the proposed GFA?
Yeah, because the GFA is not just one floor, it's all floors.
Right. The proposed total addition is 631 between the first floor and the second floor.
so we're just gonna look at page A100.
Yeah, because those numbers aren't correct in the chart because it's,
Number on there that
This is-
is confusing.
You should look at,
yeah, because the chart says on the first floor, it's 538, and on the second floor, the proposed is 650. Which adds up to 1,188 according to this.
Yeah, that's why I thought that was proposed.
Right.
And let's see. That's this.
So this is 10, 20 by 15.
Do you have?
So it has to be,
Pedro?
I'm sorry?
Do you have it on up on your screen right now?
it has to be more than that. The first floor alone is 600 something. It's 20 by, it's 20, more than 20 by 15. Right?
So.
Am I crazy?
Yeah. I mean, no, you're not crazy.
Let's- Hold on 1 second, guys.
I think the numbers in the chart are right, or right-ish.
Okay, so is this the same chart as
No, it
this?
should be A104. Sheet A104 has the numbers.
I don't know.
It's on A100.
So you want A104?
Do you have it up on your?
A104.
You can share- you can
I do
share.
not. No, I don't. I don't have it up on my screen.
Oh, I see. You're saying, because we're looking at A100.
Those are the old numbers for the old
Oh,
old drawings that you
Ah,
see on that.
okay, so that,
Oh,
this shouldn't,
That's what's confusing.
yeah, that, we shouldn't be looking at those.
No.
That was my original question. Okay, we've been looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, those numbers didn't make sense to me. So the sheet A104 has the correct numbers, the correct plans that you should be looking at.
So at least because you noticed it for more than we to notice that. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's excellent.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So the 631, as you can see, it's 50% of the 1262 existing building, and the total is 1893 of the square footage, the house square footage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you have is a pyramid violation.
So that one, with an existing violation, and we have, a new violation with the proposed, second story. And the new violation is 1,154 feet. The existing house is 2,782 cubic feet in violation. So the variance, I think, is for 1,154. The total violation afterward would be 3,936. And that is a function of the house being so close to the existing lot line. Just for the second floor and above, the kitchen, which is expanding past that. That's
So we reference plans and approvals, you know that, so you should withdraw those portions of these plans that are incorrect.
Absolutely.
If you could.
yes.
So there's 4 bedrooms total,
Correct.
correct? Plus the, I don't know how we're gonna categorize the structure in the back of the property that's being used as 2 bedrooms.
Sorry, this is Curtis. I'm the owner. It's not 2 bedrooms in the back. Sorry, it's an room and a shed. They're not bedrooms back there. Sorry, I had to
Well,
intervene.
It's divided into 2 rooms and there are 4 to 6 beds in there right now.
There's not.
Could you?
I just went there today.
Could you state your
Right.
name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Curtis Ravenel, 57 Howard Street.
Great,
There
thank
is, yeah. One of the rooms has a day bed in it. That's my office, and the other room is my kids' hangout room. And they just watch TV in there with their friends in there. They don't spend the night back there. They can't. It's not zoned for that. So they hang out. That's their sort of hangout pad for them and their friends.
Sure looks like bedrooms.
It's not. I could just give you my words. The bunk beds have been in there a long time, but we were told a long time ago that people can't sleep back there, and our kids are too young to sleep back there anyway. So nobody sleeps back there. And I'm happy to rip all that stuff out if that's helpful. But those are not bedrooms, not used as bedrooms.
So Liz, in terms of the parking, that structure wouldn't count towards, it's just the bedrooms and the principal structure, correct? Yeah. So it's 4 bedrooms, so it's actually
3 spaces.
yeah.
So we need a parking variance for another 2 spaces.
Or I don't
Or
know,
extend the driveway into the gardening and provide parking for 2 additional cars. That's a very tough street to grant variances for parking on.
understand, it's just a really small lot, and if well vegetated there, the septic's in there.
Well,
We're
it's-
gonna have a room.
it used to be small houses on that street and now they got to be big houses or bigger, and the parking didn't expand and it just meets a tough situation.
Um,
So we can't find space for one more car, a full-size car, not a mini, by pushing the driveway? Well, it's a request.
Yeah.
For my vote anyway, it's a request to provide more parking.
Got it.
It's possible if the septic moved. You could reverse it. And put the tank closer to the street and the leaching pools closer to the backyard, then you get your extra cars.
Curtis, are you still, if you're on, what would have to be removed for extra parking?
I'm sorry, what's the question is what?
If we had to add an extra parking space, what would have to be removed in order for that to happen?
I mean, Mac's side garden, it used to be Mac Griswold house, which is a lovely garden, and we'd have to get rid of it, I guess, which would be a tragedy. I mean, I don't know if in the front of the house there was anywhere
This
to do it.
Right
No.
here.
here, that's the tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are the leaching pools.
Thank you, Curtis.
You're gonna be putting in a new septic system, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, that's gonna be torn up anyway.
Yeah, I see that. I see that it's in the same location. I don't know how far back the garden starts. It's hard for me to tell from the pictures. But
Well, it's sort of a continuing garden that starts on the side and goes all the way through to the back, keeps going, yeah.
Yeah, but the side garden is sort of shallow planting. It's not any trees or bushes. It's all flowers and whatnot. And we've been told that we can replace all of that once the septic's in. And we'd like to. It's a lovely hangout area for us and our family, but I understand the requirements.
Is the septic approved?
you haven't gone to the health department for approval yet for septic, right? Are you pending?
Right, we've done so many iterations on this design, we didn't want to move forward until we got approval for the structure, so.
Understood.
Denise, if the septic were to reverse location and put the tank closer to the driveway, you can flip the tank, no leaching pools, and you can actually put a funnel right here on top of the septic system and put the leaching pools behind, and you'll get your car in there.
Oh. So flip it and part of it on the driveway.
That's right. And for $900 is the application fee, and it will give you a covenant, and you
Yeah.
can park on top of the septic system.
Okay. So, I guess if this, I mean, so for procedurally, you have to renotice this, because I doubt we're gonna fit 3 cars there. I think
Two.
You might fit two,
Two
yes.
cars.
So we should adjourn.
Right,
Just
but,
thinking out loud.
yeah, sorry,
We should adjourn so that I can give you. a
Yes.
Proposal, that has 2 spaces, if that works, and, let Harry and Liz know what variance we need, whether it's one or
Right.
2.
Right.
so, do the board have any other
request.
questions?
I do.
Yeah, so,
Because this application, it's been helpful to see the proposed, but when I see the language where it says approved, you know, as we had to sift through all of this and see existing application versus proposed, but sheet number A104 should be the document that the board looks at.
Yes,
And
and
include, if we back up to the newly proposed elevations, but they don't show the pyramid log line. And that's typically a request with any building permit application to show the height and also how that line comes from the property line. So,
We definitely did a pyramid drawing,
Yeah, it references average grade and we don't do average grade.
it's a spot elevation
oh, I
from
see.
the lot line.
I'm looking at the, is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
so it's not average grade, it's from
right,
the grade at the property line.
but the architectural drawings have nothing, there's no
Oh, I see.
line that comes from the property.
The architectural drawing should also have a line.
That should be a requirement on any building permit drawing. And in terms of the septic, you can get that done quickly. It's commonplace, whomever your engineer might be, but that's a normal application these days.
And for the sky painting, what else do we do? I'm sorry, you saying we don't provide average grade?
No, it's
That spot elevation?
you either have to have contours or spot elevations of the property line, and they can be just 5 feet apart or something. What do you have?
It's almost a flat property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need, maybe 10 feet apart is fine for this property. It's
Yeah.
just to create a line.
It's just for the architect to show how the pyramid engages the house.
Pietro,
Because I
did you
don't see any-
understand that comment?
I don't see any, are there elevations? It's so tiny. Are there elevations on here at all? There's the first floor elevation, but are there other elevations? I don't really see any. Sometimes they do them at the corners.
There are spots because they needed it for.
Oh, there, the septic.
Yes.
So there's one here. There are some spot elevations. So, yeah, so that may be, I don't know if there are enough here to create a line. You might need a couple more. I don't know.
We'll ask Ken about that.
No, you don't. You just do it.
Oh,
Okay.
I mean, you can do however you want to do it. You can do them at 5 feet, 10 feet. There may be enough here. It's just to create natural, it's natural grade. It's not an
Actually-
average.
It's referenced as page E as in Tom 101. And it shows us the pyramid line, but none of the architectural drawings include that information.
But that, if you go back to that, that's done. Well, references.
Elevations.
Average grade, is that what that says?
Average grade.
Yeah,
okay,
so-
where it's supposed to be a spot.
Right.
Okay. No,
We're not gonna hold you to some specific dimension of the spot elevations, just whatever is enough to create the natural line, because we know it's a fairly flat property. It's really just to document it. It might alter the pyramid violation slightly. Any other questions?
Well, I mean, in terms of reviewing it and 57 Howard Street, what we had, and then to receive this today with the variance request, I'm still somewhat confused. So I would like to have this more outlined into exactly the dimensions and what have you for how many variances that you're proposing.
I submitted that
You submitted this,
with the list. of
Yes.
It looks, if I'm correct, it looks like it would be those plus a variance for parking.
yes.
Is what would
that's-
be the list of
right.
variances, yeah. Tim, do you have any? other-
No, and then should the building inspector just review all of this? No.
Yes, has the building inspector reviewed this new list of variances? The one that you submitted to us?
I don't, he hasn't communicated with me about that. So.
Okay. Damon, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions on, where are we? 57 Howard Street? Harry, is there anyone out in the?
Nope.
No, okay. I mean, as far as just to give you some feedback, as far as the variant. Pardon me? Oh, sure. I mean, I think that most of these seem reasonable. I don't know what the other board members feel. The pyramid violation seems reasonable. The lot
Yes.
coverage and building coverage seem reasonable.
I'm looking at what they refer to as the approved proposal. It's a scale which I find that the decrease here with this newly submitted proposal is far better. And minimal in terms of the request by comparison.
Mhm.
It looked like they were adding a house to the house where now it's an addition.
Right, which is much more appropriate. Oh, the other thing is which is not listed here in your list, is the 50%. So we'll need to know what
That was noticed, but we can notice.
It was-
quickly for next time.
right, it's just that it's not on her list of
Yeah.
her
yes.
variances, yeah.
It would be less than what was noticed.
Right, right, so we're fine with that. The only new notice that really is about the parking. Right, so, anything else from the board?
No,
Denise, do you have anything else to add or anything? Okay, so, could I have a motion to adjourn 57 Howard Street to the June 18th meeting?
so move.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Next up is 29 Harding Terrace. I think it's going to be adjourned.
Could we discuss those points that I brought up? Is that why it's being adjourned?
I don't know.
The owner said to me the other day when I ran into him at the house, he was going to
Yes,
be with his architect on Zoom tonight.
yeah, they did,
But he's not.
because it's not, the.
Okay.
After it, on the plans, but they.
Okay, so that's why it's being adjourned,
The
yeah.
architect.
Yeah, because,
Right, it was
Yeah.
a little confusing because some of those numbers just didn't make sense.
No, I think they were wrong.
Right. Yeah.
We
So, okay,
reviewed
so
it
we'll adjourn.
previously.
Yes, it's been before us. This is a totally different.
2.5 years ago.
Yes, and it was a
Okay.
third floor and so forth.
So could I have a motion to adjourn 29 Harding Terrace to the June 18th meeting?
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. Okay, on to decisions. And the first decision is 61 Madison Street.
This was an application to construct a 506 square foot first floor addition to the existing 692 square foot residence located at 61 Madison Street. The board, there were several variances sought in with respect to the application. The lot is 6,006 square feet. It's pre-existing non-conforming with respect to lot width, lot area. It's only 67 feet wide, where 100 feet is required. And the applicant's proposing to construct a 500 square foot one-story addition to the pre-existing non-conforming 692 square foot home. The existing house was set back from the northern property line by only 2.2 feet. And the proposed house would be just under 1,109 square feet after the addition. And the existing placement of the house being 2.2 feet from the northern property line. The pre-existing non-conforming lot size and width cause the need for the majority of variances requested as part of the application. Also, the applicant submitted that they could have gone up and wouldn't have needed so many variances, but because the Board of Historic Preservation and Architectural Review preferred a one-story addition to this pre-existing non-conforming historic contributing home in the historic district, that they decided to do the one-story addition instead of going up. And for the reasons set forth in the written determination, the board hereby determines the grant variance.
Great, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the decision as written for 61 Madison Street?
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next up is 12 Union Street.
This is an application to construct a new pool house and a garage. And the variance was required under section 399.184 of Sag Harbor Village Code to allow the proposed pool house and garage to be located in the front yard where accessory structures are prohibited. The proposed property is actually conforming at 37,762 square feet. And it is a through lot though, so it has two front yards, one on Union Street and one on Jefferson Street. And therefore the lot does not have a rear yard where accessory structures could be placed. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing pool with a smaller pool and construct a garage and a pool house to the rear of the existing house fronting on Union Street. And as such, the application required the variance to allow the pool to be and pool house and the garage in the front yard. And for the reasons set forth in the written determination, the board found it met the 5-part test and hereby determines to grant the variances.
Great, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the variances for, or the decision for 12 Union Street as written?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next is 56 Redwood Road.
Carrie,
Yes.
I don't know if you can hear me. I've been volunteering to so move, and I've been saying aye and voting on the last 4 or 5, only to realize that my mic was off, so.
Okay.
I can send you an email and tell you which ones I weighed in on and which I didn't.
Okay,
Great, thank
the
you.
next one is 56 Redwood Road. This is, the subject property is 18,495 square feet. The application is to construct a 12-foot by 18-foot swimming pool, pool equipment and pool enclosure in the front yard. Therefore, variances are required in section 300-9.184 of the Sag Harbor Village Code to allow the proposed pool to be located in the front yard where accessory structures are prohibited. This application is in Redwood. There were several examples of precedent-setting decisions allowing pools in the front yard on Sag Harbor Cove located in the R27 district. There were examples as well as pools on either side of the subject property. And for the reasons set forth in the written determination, the board found that this met the 5-part test and determined to grant variances.
Great, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the decision for 56 Redwood Road as written?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. Could I have a motion to close the public meeting for the May 21st, 2020 zoning board of appeals of Sag Harbor?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.